Ladies and gentlemen, Capital G here, bringing you a deck tech for O-Kagachi, Vengeful Kami. Going 5 colors again, because I love playing with colors. But before we get into that, of course, the many changes since the last video. Let's start with this one. What has changed? Obviously shorter. What remains the same? Totally uncombable. Also, if you happen to hear a fan in the background, things are starting to heat up here in Kelowna. Actually getting more humid, hotter, and just in general more everything. So that fan is vital to my survival, so if you just happen to hear it over the microphone, I do apologize, but I need it. And of course, Core 2021 completely spoiled. We're about, I guess, a third to a half of the way through the jumpstart spoilers at this point. And we are getting a lot of sweet cards in these sets. Lots of great reprints, some new ones, a lot of cool new legends. I mean, seeing Exquisite Blood back all of a sudden, seeing like all of the cards. Like Oracle of Moldiah we're getting back. Ugin we're getting back. It's crazy. So I like these times. Alright. So, but I won't go into depth on those sets. Let's go into depth on O-Kagachi, Vengeful Kami. Reason I chose this Dragon Spirit now is because Core 2021 did bring us shrines. We haven't seen shrines since the original Kamigawa set, and I couldn't think of a more appropriate commander for a shrine deck, at least on a flavor level. Mechanically, it doesn't help us do too much if we get a 6/6 creature flying trample, and when this deals combat damage to a player, if that player had attacked us during their last turn, we get to exile one of their non-land permanents that they control. So, cool little revenge mechanic, but we're not going to be playing around too much with that space. Obviously, our focus is on the shrines. We're playing Shrine Tribal. So let's take a look at the deck list. We are going to start from the top. We're not going to talk about the shrines just yet, but we are going to talk about some artifacts, including Crucible of Worlds. Seems like a really weird ad, but you'll find that one of our offensive tools kind of also inadvertently turns into quite the piece of utility for us. Soul Ring of Kir, of course, for the ramp. It's the only mana rock that we're running. Most of our ramp is going to be either enchantment based or fetching land something from our library. Also running a Soul Guide Lantern to kind of keep our opponent's graveyards in check. Should we not need to, we can always cash this in for a card draw. And on the topic of card draw, we are going to be playing, because we're playing shrines, we're going with an Enchantress Shell. Most of the cards will be in banned colors: blue, white, and green. So we've got our Argothian Enchantress. Cast an enchantment spell, draw a card, and this one is Shroud. Kalef, Beloved by the Sea, helps protect our shrines by making it more expensive for our opponents to target them. Corpse Knight seems odd for an Enchantress deck, but he does synergize with one of the Hundens, and we'll get into that shortly. Destiny Spinner. Creature and enchantment spells you control can't be countered. How sweet is that? And also 2 mana for a 2/3. That's a pretty sweet curve. And I like this ability. 4 mana. Target land you control becomes an XX elemental creature with trample and haste until end of turn. X being the number of enchantments you control. So that's a way to weaponize the many enchantments we plan to have in play. Running Golos because, hey, he can pull some lands out of the deck for us. And of course, if you manage to activate his abilities, we might be able to get some free shrines off of it. Indulging Patrician, again, synergizes with one of the Hondens, so that is why we have this new M21 Vampire. At the beginning of our end step, if we gain 3 or more life this turn, each opponent loses 3 life. Cool little ability that, if you ask me. The Mesa Enchantress. Whenever we cast an enchantment spell, we get to draw a card. Nessian Wanderer, coming in from Theros Beyond Death. Whenever an enchantment has a battlefield under control, we get to look at the top 3 cards. If we hit a land, we can put it into our hand, so helps us churn through the deck a little faster. Also from Theros Beyond Death, the ever-popular Cetesian Champion. Not only does it give us a card draw, but he gets +1. But actually, it's just she. So she gets +1/+1 counters every time we put an enchantment onto the battlefield. Sad robot here, of course, to help us ramp and fix our colors. The Starfield Mystic, reducing the cost of our enchantments by 1 as long as this guy is out there. And should our enchantments ever end up in the graveyard, he gets +1/+1 counters. Running Stuffy Doll, just as a blocker, makes an excellent blocker. So we're gonna run the Stuffy Doll. Tuvasa the Sunlit, the traditional Banchantress commander, or at least one of them, but gets a slot in the 99 here. Can't run her as a commander if we want to run all 5 colors, so why not? And hey, we get to draw cards for our first enchantment each turn, and it gives us a big board presence as well. And if you're doing Enchantress, of course, play an enchantment spell, draw a card. How about the enchantments themselves? Enchantress is present, also lets us draw cards when we cast our enchantments. Fertile Ground. Fertile Ground, of course, we enchant one of our lands, and that land can now tap for 2 mana, whatever it normally taps for, +1 mana of any color. Go on the Pelifort route as far as keeping ourselves alive in the game, so Ghostly Prison will be here. Coming in from M21, Griffin Airy. Again, synergizing with some life gain that we're actually going to have in the deck. Thinking of our end step, if we've gained 3 or more life, put a 2/2 white Griffin into play. And into the Hondens, and this is our life gain Honden, so we're weaponizing the life gain by having these synergies. So at the beginning of your upkeep, gain 2 life for each shrine you control. And of course, the deck runs 11 shrines in total. So this could be gaining us 22 life in Magical Christmas Land. Honden of Infinite Rage, one of our key pieces of offense in the deck. At the beginning of our upkeep, we deal damage to any target equal to the number of shrines we control. Honden of Life's Web, we create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token for each shrine we control, so we can actually go wide with this. Honden of Nice Reach, each target opponent discards a card for each shrine you control, so once we get a bunch of shrines out, we'll be forcing our opponents to discard their hands. And Honden of Seeing Winds, just straight up draw a card for each shrine we control, costs 5, a little expensive for the effect, but again, it's another shrine that contributes to the game plan. Running Mirari's Wake, again, synergizes with the green Honden, and also doubles up how much mana we have available to us. Omen of the Hunt lets us get a basic land. We can cast this at flash speed, which is pretty sweet. Paradox Haze. Most of the shrines have some sort of upkeep trigger, so how about we give ourselves an extra upkeep? A Privileged Position. Other permanents we control have hexproof, and excellent way to protect our board. Propaganda for the Pelifort effects. And of course, the primary reason why you go Wooburg in the new Shrine deck. Sanctum of All. At the beginning of our upkeep, we can search our library or graveyard for a shrine card and put it onto the battlefield. If we have searched our library this way, we shuffle the library. And if an ability of another shrine you control triggers while you control 6 or more shrines, the Sanctum included, that ability triggers an additional time. So, yeah, we can actually go nuts with the Sanctum of All should this be left unchecked. So the new Sanctums, our new shrines, our blue one, Sanctum of Calm Waters, a cheaper version of the Honden of Seeing Winds, works slightly differently. It says here at the beginning of our pre-combat main phase. So after our draw step, we may draw X cards or X number of shrines we control, and if we do, discard a card. So a couple of differences, of course, when we draw the card, and the fact that we have to discard one, but it is a little cheaper for us to cast. Sanctum of Fruitful Harvest, also at the beginning of our pre-combat main phase. We get to add X mana of any one color or X the number of shrines we control. So hey, this can give us a bunch of mana. And this is one you can actually play without necessarily running a shrine deck. I like this one. Sanctum of Shattered Heights. This is the first of 2 shrines with an activated ability. It says here we pay 1 and then we discard a land card or a shrine card. So this is why we are running the Crucible of Worlds, is that we can basically turn our lands into X damage spells where X is the number of shrines that we control. We deal that damage to a creature or planeswalker, and that is why we're running the Stuffy Doll, because then we can name one of our healthier opponents with Stuffy Doll, and then discard lands into the Stuffy Doll to take out our opponents that way. Sanctum of Stonefangs. Beginning of pre-combat main phase, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life for X is the number of shrines you control. So yeah, all of the new Sanctums, they prefer to trigger at the beginning of our first main phase. But that's alright. Gets a lot of work done for us, and Sanctum of Stonefangs is going to be another one of our primary ways of offense. The more shrines we have, the more life our opponent loses on our turn. And Sanctum of Tranquil Light. Pay white to tap target creature. It's going to be pay white because we're going to have a bunch of shrines out. We're never ever going to pay 6 for this ability. 5 and white to tap target creature. No, don't do that. But 1 white to tap target creature. I like the sound of that a lot better. That's all our shrines, but not the end of our enchantments. We've got Spear of Safety, of course, for the Pillow Fort. Running Utopia Sprawl, we can enchant one of our forests and know that forest when it will tap for its own green mana, as well as another mana of any color that we choose as we play the Utopia Sprawl. Moving on to instants, Brought Back. If somebody manages to sweep up a few of our key pieces, we can use Brought Back to, well, bring them back right onto the battlefield immediately. Chaos Warp, our universal removal spell. Running Crush Contraband to exile our opponent's artifacts and enchantments. Disallow, we're going to have a little bit of counter magic to try and keep our enchantments from being swept away. So we've got Disallow to help us with that. Dovin's Veto as well. Running Enlightened Tutor because we really, really, really want the Sanctum of All. Path to Exile, again, excellent 1 mana white removal. Return to Nature, again, destroys an artifact, destroys an enchantment, or can exile a target or card from a graveyard. And that third mode is what makes this card very, very good in our format. Swords to Plowshares, also excellent piece of removal, takes a big creature off the board. Unsubstantiate, so if somebody has a spell that cannot be countered normally, you can actually use Unsubstantiate to return the spell to its owner's hand, and well, the spell doesn't happen because it's no longer on the stack. You can also return creatures this way, so I love the flexibility of this. It's marked M21. It is actually a reprint from one of the, I think it's Shadows over Innistrad. Whirlwind Denial coming in from Theros Beyond Death. For each spell and ability your opponent's control counter unless its controller pays 4. So if stock's getting complicated, just throw this one out there, clean it all up. Lands, running 38 lands because we want to not discard lands and deal some damage. So rocking the Boros Garrison. We're only using the, shall we say, Karoo lands, the Ravnica Karoo lands that can tap for either red or black or both. So, got a duo of Boros Garrison, Dimir Aqueduct. Of course, running my typical Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, Fabled Passage. This is an excellent choice for a reprint. Even though its original printing has only been as recent as Throne of Eldraine, this card is a multi-format all-star. Plays well in Commander, plays well in Pioneer, plays well in Modern. So, of course we're going to be seeing this card. And we want as many printings of this as possible. 10 Forests. Forests are how we get our colors, so Forests will lead the way. A Golgari Rotform, Grill Turf. Hall of Heliod's Generosity, our only real piece of utility land. So in case we need to get some of our key enchantments back from the graveyard, this is how we can get it. Also running some Triomes. Again, making sure that they tap for either black or red or both. But most of the colors will be in, obviously, our natural band colors. So in that, the Triumph is here. Running 6 islands. Is it Boilerworks? Ketria Triumph. We are running 1 Lonely Mountain. We have the Orzhov Basilica. We have 5 planes. We have the Rakdos Canarium. the Rogrin Triumph, that's a tricky one to pronounce. 1 Swamp, 1 Terramorphic Expanse, as I previously mentioned. The Zagoth Triumph, and that brings us to 38 lands. For sorceries, obviously because we have access to all 5 colors, I want to keep the number of red and black spells to a minimum, but there's a lot of really good ones, so that's why we're running things like Decimate. Running Demonic Tutor, again, we really want our Sanctum Evolve, so that's what Demonic Tutor is usually getting. Farstake, search our library for plains, island, swamp, or mountain, so we can get our Triumphs with this into play. Final Judgment, I had to, because look who's on the card art. Idyllic Tutor, again, another way for us to get our Sanctum Evolve. Kodama's Reach, seems like the more appropriate of the two. Not running Cultivate, just the Kodama's Reach here. Rampant Growth. Ranger's Path, search our library for 2 forest cards, so we can actually get 2 of our Triumphs with this. Supreme Verdict, can't be countered, destroys all creatures. Toxic Deluge, well, the -X effect, that is very handy. And of course, Wrath of God. And that is my take on how to build the Shrine deck with O-Kagachi. So, what do you all think? Obviously, there's ways we can fine-tune it. I was thinking about the enchantment that puts angels into play rather than the Pegasus, the one that costs 4 mana. The name eludes me at the moment. But yeah, we're spamming enchantments. We're making sure our enchantments don't get swept up by some sort of crazy sweeper. And we go from there. With that in mind, I'd like to thank you all for watching. And I will see you sometime after the Jumpstart previews are done. I'm going to see if I can do one of our newer commanders. Until then, take care, and we'll see you again.